Hello there, fellow millers. Rodamont here. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival. Episode 46, Using Mechanical Milling. Alright, angle gears. Use resin, wood, sticks, saw. So we're going to grab our saw blade, which should be over yonder. I have sticks. Yeah, I think I have all the materials on me for angle gears. Our hammer might break, but, you know, we have a spare. Nope, still has a little bit of durability left. Perfect. Is it too close to crucible? Yeah, everything will end up moving. The smithy that I have built here will fundamentally change in dimensions once I'm done, because this is the first iteration of the smithy, the unmechanized one, and the next iteration is going to be mechanized, so it's going to be fundamentally pretty different, I suspect. So now we're sending the mechanical power down to the base, and then we'll set up the other angle gear here to send it out to the forge. And I think, at least for the first pass at this, I'm just planning on helve hammering it up. So I'll just cover up the wall, and eventually we might have a gear system, but that's a gear house is going to be like the next project, not what I'm working on right now. There we go, mechanical power. Now what we could do with this mechanical power, let's go ahead and move this fireplace. The first thing I'm going to do is just grind some grain as like a proof of concept, and then we can do bigger and better things with it. It's an awkward height for angle gear. Let's get one more angled gear, but I'm going to need some food. Unless I want to tap into my smoked foods, which ideally no. Yeah, let's do a little bit of cooking. Well, whatever. Good enough. Now, angle gear right into quern might not work. We might have to adjust things a little bit, because the connection point for mechanical power is a little bit fussy about how it can connect to things. So we might need to tinker with it a little bit. But with any luck, we'll have a mechanized quern, and then we can work. Oh yeah, no, it's fine. There we go, mechanized quern. And one thing to notice is the speed at which it's turning has dramatically slowed down now that the mechanical power is being used. Very much by design. And to that end, I think I am just going to add the additional sails to it. Let's just go overkill with mechanical power. I think it's probably warranted. So it's very simple, very ugly, utilitarian. It's how I wanted it at first pass. Nothing fancy. No frills. Alright, there we go. We have a 100 kilonewton sail. As you can see, it nearly reaches the ground. You needed, like, a bit of height to accomplish this. But now that quern is really turning, and we should be able to grind up lime and grain effortlessly now. Well, no effort on our part, I should say. So here's all our rice grain. Let's make a whole bunch of rice flour. It's only been about a day for chicken check. There it is. Automated grinding. Now, I'm willing to assume that I went to this effort for the sake of helve hammering. But I'll just reconfirm. Should I make a helve hammer right now as well? Because technically the windmill's done, but, you know, whether that includes a forge upgrade can be up to you. And this is why I was planning all that flax, was exactly for this project, right? Because that's a lot of sales. And I wouldn't have been able to get that done without. Bees. Mostly harvestable? That's good. They have a decent amount of fodder. Oh, you know, I forgot. I have a lot of eggs, too. I could make scrambled. Don't go out there. No. 3 days, 2 days. Getting pretty close to our first chicks. Of course, then they have to mature and have offspring, and then the offspring mature and have offspring. Like, it's going to be a while before we have, like, tame chickens. But it's, we've started the process, at the very least. So it looks like you guys do want me to make a helve hammer. So the plan right now is, make tannin, barrel, and helve hammer. Because I want to get the weak tannin going so that leather making doesn't come to a halt. But then I'll get back on track. So we don't have enough oak to make the weak tannin. I would need 5. So I'm planning on cutting down another oak, and then we'll go back to working on the helve hammer for a mechanized bit of a mechanized forge. And yeah, I still absolutely have need of more flax because I don't have clothing yet. I don't have a sailboat, right? There's a lot of other things that I could use for flax, so there will be more flax making in the future. Plus, there's nothing to say I couldn't just get 2 sails, one dedicated for the helve hammer, one dedicated for the quern, right? Like, I could have 2 windmills. That would be another potential solution. I think it would be a bit of a wasteful one. I don't plan on it, but it's not to say that it couldn't be done. All right, so we're going to want like a smaller oak because I don't want to have to deal with the 2x2s. So let's try to find a reasonable sized oak over here. This is 1x1. Does it have mushrooms? It doesn't? That'll work. Would the quern and the smithy break roleplay? No, not necessarily. I had mentioned that be a possibility. I put it in between the kitchen and the smithy so that it could serve the kitchen too. But for that, I would need a gear wheel, and if we gear wheel it, that comes with a whole separate set of issues, because as soon as you start adding gears, you're changing the speed at which you produce power. So if I added a wheel to it, and then the helve hammer and the quern would work slower, and then for me to regain... Oh. Hello there. Bye-bye. For me to regain that speed would mean for me to... I would need to then incorporate another wheel, and then we would lose power. It's not really worth me explaining the whole process. The gear to torque ratios, but essentially the more things I hook up to it, the less powerful it is I think a really straightforward way of putting it, which can be you should be able to understand. And for me to regain the power, I would need a lot more infrastructure. So that's why I'm just like keeping it simple. Okay, there's the weak tendon. The rest of this oak I can just like stick in my butchery box, because the oak wood makes butchery stuff. And let's do the helve hammer now. So, probably the most important part of the helve hammer, to my mind, is going to be the actual hammerhead. And we'll just do like a tin bronze one, because if I'm not mistaken, the tin bronze hammerhead should be able to work iron, and I don't intend to go to steel. So let me just double check the wiki. Helve hammer. Wow, it really isn't telling me anything. Okay. Tin bronze. Why? Before I invest metal into this, I kind of want like a more definitive answer. Because I don't want to make a helve hammer for it to then subsequently not be strong enough. Oh my god, Google, stop giving me AI results. I've turned that off. Yeah, I think that's the case. Okay, so we'll make it bronze. So, for that, we need 2 bronze ingots. And I think the wind speed has gone down a little bit, so as you can see, it's not grinding quite as fast, but it's still grinding pretty good. Instead of using the tin bronze bits I have, because I only need 40, well, yeah, I only need 40 of them. I'll just melt this stuff down. Rather than just, like, keep stocking up more and more and more. So we need to make a new fireplace for the crucible. That's on slab. Maybe what I'll do is put it here on a full block. That way, it also has the added benefit of I won't step on it. So it can't, like, hurt me. Which is... has its own benefit. Once the ingots are cooling, I'll also then work on the rest of the helve hammer, which will require me to get back to, like, carving up metals and the like. But I kind of like the layout that I've got going on here. Worked that into the wall. It opens up some real estate. I could even put the quern there instead, like, as part of the wall. Maybe eventually. Alright, so this stuff's heating up. Then we just melt it down. And once all the rice grain's ground, I'll remove that. It's funny. Like, I know 64 liters wouldn't look like much in a well, but, like, how low the water level is. We're gonna need, maybe 2 more charcoal. Oh! So if you're wondering what happened to the mechanical power, the wind speed that we have just went down. So this might be a cause to use a gear, and I'm not gonna do that right now. But the functional wind speed we have is about 7%, which is just not enough to do anything with. So there's a few ways around ramping up the amount of mechanical power you have. One is to have your windmill go to a large wooden gear so that the axle in the middle of the wooden gear turns much slower, but it will have more force. I'm explaining this really poorly as not a physics teacher. And you can hypothetically hook up 4 rotors to one wooden gear so that you're turning that center axle slow, but with a lot of kilonewton force, so that it will still grind. Because the other thing you could do is to have a whole bunch of windmills spin it faster. You know, to use a sort of a powertrain type setup. So we might need to incorporate those methods if we commonly find ourselves with very low wind speeds to compensate for the lack of reliable wind speed. We'll see. I'll only really know over the course of time when we've sort of surveyed our average wind speed that we get. So we have a bunch of scrape hides ready for another batch. So as soon as this tannin barrel's done in 22 hours, we can get that going. We ate that quickly. I want to use the clean offal. Maybe make a meat pie out of the rice that we've got going on before it all spoils. Oh, and that offal already went to rot. I think that's a reasonable use for that offal before it goes bad. It's like a rice meat pie. Unfortunately, I can't, like, manually grind this stuff, you know, with the angle gear on, so we'd have to remove the angle gear. Okay, here we go. Tin bronze ingots for the helve hammer going. Yeah, it's like sort of grinding. That's what I'm planning on making next. But I think what I want to do is not turn all of my flour into dough, because dough rots fast. I could use blood instead. I do have a lot of blood, that's fair. Maybe for this rice dough, I'll cook bread and then use blood dough. So I don't waste the blood too. That's a decent reminder. So if we're making a meat pie, we'll do 4, but maybe I make 2 of them, so 8. Or 12? I gotta figure out how much offal I can fill it with. Four portions of, so 8, yeah, okay, I'm good. I will use all but 1 offal in this case. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 8 per, I have 17, perfect, that works out. And then this flour, because flour keeps a lot longer than, you know, 5 years, right? A lot longer than, dough, which keeps for, if you're wondering, once you make it into dough, for 6 days. So, yeah. It's 1 pie. And 2 pie. And I'm not making them look fancy. I don't care. There. Use the offal the other way. Waste not, want not. Or something. And then I'll bake this bread at the end of it too. I can't even put this anywhere. Alright. That's still raw. That's still soft. I'll focus on the pies and then go back to the helve hammer head. Humble pie. Yeah, you can see the advantage of the mechanical power grinding up mass grain, because like grain is just a really, really good way for us to feed ourselves. Very efficient. And this does a lot of satiety. Man, that packs a punch. That's great. And it should keep for a long time too in here. 23 days, that's generous. Looks like the axle wheel's turning a little bit again. So we might be getting more rice out of that. And I'll hold on to these pieces for, like, my food needs. I like our little farm. So the tandem will be done in 19 hours. And then this leather will be done in 4 days. How good is the spoil timer on the pies? 6 days in inventory and 24 days or whatever in a barrel. It's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. Keeps a while. Right, 23 days. It's probably closer to 24. It's just rounding down. All right. So let's, now that we're back on track, let's talk about the helve hammer setup. So we're going to take these, that will burn me. Take these ingots and make it into a helve hammer head, which allows us to... so to back up even more, the helve hammer is like an automatic hammer, which is windmill driven, which can be used to do a few different things. So a helve hammer can hammer out blooms. So when you make iron, you end up putting your iron ore into a bloomery, because the bloomery gets hotter than a crucible does. So you can't put hematite or whatever iron nuggets into a crucible because it's not a crucible metal. So iron, glass, and steel are not crucible metals, so you can't crucible smelt them. So if we want to make iron, we put the iron into the bloom, which is fire clay, which means it's either dug up fire clay, or we have to make red clay into fire clay by combining it with flint to make a bloomery base and a bloomery chimney. And then put the iron nuggets into there to get an iron bloom. Right when the bloom is done, it's hot, but we more than likely will have to then reheat it back up on the forge and then work it into an ingot by hammering it. So the helve hammer can work blooms into ingots, and then can work ingots into plates. That's what it does. It can make ingots automatically from blooms and ingots into plates automatically. And that's all it does. It can't do anything more complex than that, but that's great. Automatic plates is amazing, because automatic plates allows you to mass produce things like chainmail, or like, you know, lanterns, or plates for, because copper plates are also required for a distillery. So a copper plate, for instance, can make the hoppers for chute systems for pulverizer, not that we'll need one, or an Archimedes screw, a boiler, a fruit press, a condenser. You know, there's a whole bunch of different things, hand pumps, so on and so forth. So they're really important to mass produce plates for a whole variety of things. But I digress. The way the helve hammer works is you have the helve hammer base, which is attached to a unit on the ground. Then you have the... where is the rest of it? That's weird. The helve hammer itself, the base, and the toggle. And the mechanical power hooks up to the toggle, which is installed in the base with the helve hammer itself, and it will just slam the hammer with mechanical power. So we're going to need a toggle, the helve hammer itself, which is the head and boards, and then the base, which is resin, chisel, wood. And that's what we're making now. And we don't have all the resin we need for the toggle, so that's one barrier to overcome. We might need to go in the daytime back to acacia forest areas to find more resin. So the total resin cost I should come up with right now. The toggle requires 5. And then the helve hammer base requires 1. So I need 6, right? Or 4. I need 5 total. Sorry. And we currently have 2. So I need 3 more resin found to get this done. And that's one of the reasons why I installed the bark beetle mod, to make it more tolerable to find. Perhaps turning off music and being able to find it that way. How expensive is a raft? Oops. So here, the raft is just ropes and logs. They're really, really cheap. And then we would need an oar, which is just ropes and logs again. So, wild vine. It's really not expensive at all. And the helve hammer head is basically just a big hammer. And it's one that its durability is not used up. When you are making ingots or working blooms, which makes it a very economical project. Speaking of which, this hammer has how many swings left? Like, just a few? Okay. So we got the helve hammer head. We just need to shove some boards on it to finish that up. And there might not be enough durability on the hammer to actually make the other pieces. Not that we have all the resin for the toggle, but at least we can place the base down. Or make the base, rather. Okay, cool. And then the base itself is 3 boards, 1 resin, the chisel, the hammer, and yeah, there's not enough durability on the hammer. As you saw, I wasn't able to do it with the old hammer because it's too broken. All right. So what we need to do is go on a bit of a resin hunt to get this done. So find resin for the helve hammer. Oh, I have... never mind. For that, we're going to want food and water to be met. And for us to have enough travel food, we're also considering a raft, which means collecting wild vine to be able to raft over. So we could do like a walnut raft or something like that. Oak raft, whatever. But in either case, we're going to want a lot of the rope coils. Which means, oops, grabbing our wild vine and coiling them. So that we can ford the water more easily. So for the full raft, we'll get the ore right now. And then for an actual raft, we are going to need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 logs. And then more wild vine for the coils. So, it's a small shopping trip. But, yeah, just get a few more wild vines to get that done. The good news is we timed this right around daybreak, so once we have the materials for the raft, we should be able to go out to go find resin. Because in my biome, the only resin we're going to get is from acacia trees. And I don't have a lot of acacia trees like immediately around me. We're going to have to go out and get some. Which seems to be across the water. Or at least that's historically true. Alright, definitely have enough vines for the coil of ropes. I could have used... so coil of rope you can make from other things, obviously. But wild vines is, like, definitely the way to go, rather than trying to collect all the cattails. Because there's wild vines kind of, like, everywhere. And there we go. We got our coil of rope, or we got our raft and our ore, which is what we need to get going. So we got some food and some water. For the raft, I should probably actually keep the shears to try to help find resin better. Let's keep the shears on us. And then we're going to depart to try to find at least 3 more resin to be able to get what we want done. That's the shopping list. So I'll carry the resin on me. No, actually, it's probably best I don't. But I will grab the lantern. Oh, I have it on me. Never mind. It's dumb. Oh, butcher bag just in case? I'm not planning on butchering anything out there. So I wouldn't really need that. Yeah, running into connection issues, almost certainly as a result of all the winter storms around me. but who knows. Don't want to make excuses for my ISP. Maybe it is their fault. I wouldn't know. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel. I made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to get you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Seraphs,